Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Thanks for checking me out. Today, I wanted to talk to you about, about free speech. So, it seems to be the vernacular, something that's everybody's talking about, something that is in the news a lot about how Twitter censored people, and you probably heard the story already. They actually did censor people, and just for before the election, and helped Biden get elected, and all this other thing. So I'm going to talk about it in general a little bit to try to put a little perspective on it. Perhaps you haven't heard it before. Maybe I said this a little bit before, but it bears repeating. So when, let's say I walk into a store in America, and I start talking about my political views, and I'm not on my own property, I'm on someone else's property, but I talk to a friend of mine about political views. Now the third person, some store employee, says, hey, this is a store, you can't talk about that here. Now, is he allowed to say that, or is he not allowed to censor me? Not really. He's not allowed to censor me like that. Nope. I can talk about it if I want. Not just having my own private conversation, not yelling. So, if I use a telephone, which I didn't invent the telephone, I'm using a device right now. If I use a telephone and I use the electronic means to communicate, to have a 3 or even a 4-way conversation. So now I'm talking to a group of people on my telephone, and I start talking about freedom or anything. Now, the telephone company doesn't come on my phone and say, hey, you can't talk about that, I'm going to censor you. No, they're not supposed to do that, because we have freedom of speech in the U.S. It's the number one article of the Constitution, right? Everybody with me so far? Now, so those two things, one instance, I'm in a store. The second instance, I'm using an electronic means of communication. So let's say a third instance. So now I'm on the internet, and I go on a site, and I state my political views, but I'm residing in America, and they say, no, wait, you can't say that, we're censoring you. Wait a second, what's the difference? The difference is nothing. Nothing is the difference. I'm actually still in America. I still have the rights that was as a U.S. citizen that I was granted, and you're not allowed to censor my opinion. Now, if on one of these media outlets, let's say Facebook or Twitter or whatnot, I'm using it as electronic means of communication, it doesn't mean that you can censor me just because I'm on it. If I'm on right now YouTube, okay, I'm using this YouTube algorithm, I'm using YouTube as a medium. So they say, well, it's a private company. Well, so what? It's a private company. All right, then it's a private company. Well, then you, as a private quote unquote company, you can make your own rules. Not really. If you're in the U.S., you're a U.S. based company, and I'm in the U.S., then I have to abide by the laws that are in the United States. So it's not that you have your own rules. There only is the rules of the Constitution of the United States. There are no superseding rules. That's why everybody's confused here. They say, well, we're a private organization, so your rights are no good here. Now, so they said, for instance, with dare I say the word vex or vax or whatever. So now, we're not going to mandate that you have this, but private corporations can mandate whatever they want. And then, no, they can't. They can't really mandate anything, because you're a U.S. citizen. you have inalienable rights as a U.S. citizen, and everybody seems to have lost this perspective. We don't lose our rights because we use a medium for communication. We don't lose our rights when you go work for a different company. All of a sudden they say, no, you don't have rights anymore. That isn't the case. But yet this spell is over people where they get confused and they say, oh no, you don't have rights anymore because you're using our tool to communicate to other people. If I go on Twitter and I post something as hate speech, well, the people don't have to actually follow what I'm saying, right? They could say, hey, you're wrong. They could argue against it. I'm not saying that, hate speech is good. I'm saying that hate speech is bad. But I agree that people should have the right to say what they want. Now, if I'm on a device inciting a riot, well then that is something that you're not allowed to in the public forum. If I was out in the street saying, hey, burn this place down, I think the police would have a conversation with me. It's the same thing. We already have these rules. We already have these laws in place to protect everyone. The problem is that just because you can censor certain words or phrases or things doesn't mean you should. It just doesn't. You don't get a gold star on your report card for stopping me from saying something. A lot of times, and here's something interesting, things change. New things come to light. We don't understand everything in the universe. Maybe the Vex is good for certain people, and maybe it's not for other people. Maybe more information would be helpful. Censoring certain information is not, helpful for everybody. So the censorship is a, trait of a totalitarian regime and state. So we really have to be cognizant and careful about these kind of instances that are happening. And it's just really shows that, people definitely are easily manipulated and hypnotized into thinking because you work for a company that doesn't, want you to do this or have this kind of freedom. Like for instance, you go to work and they say, well, your employee's allowed to read all your email, all your communications, listen to everything, and monitor everything you say and do all this. I don't believe in that. I don't think they should. I don't think if they trust you enough to have you as an employee, they shouldn't be monitoring everything, just like the government shouldn't. I believe that they should rescind the Patriot Act. So all these kind of things are an overreach for more power, and it's just unfortunate that people have fallen into this trap where they believe that your freedom is allowed to be taken away for certain things. When you cross that line and they take it away for something, the problem is they don't give it back, and then you don't get it back, and that's the way it is. So for me to post something on Facebook, for instance, and get censored by a computer algorithm for one of the words I said, which was that they take out of context and then shadow ban me and all these other things, it's really not just uncalled for, it's unlawful. And it shouldn't be happening. Anyway, let me know what you think in your comments. Like, subscribe, share. Have a great day. Bye-bye.